So obviously it was quite expected that the 2025 AFL Draft was going to be full of academy players. I mean, in the first round alone, I think it was 9 academy players by the end of the first round, which is absolutely insane. 4 of them going to Gold Coast in the top 18. Really, really crazy scenes, but it was kind of made evident very early on, especially when we found out that the draft rules would basically be like last year's, just on steroids now, and actually matching academy players could take a lot of picks to actually make that happen. I think we kind of all collectively thought that there was going to be some early bidding. There was going to be some early bidding for sure. It just, was a question on who's going to do it, who's going to pick a player well above their rank, what team is it going to be? Could a team do this multiple times? And I mean, we found this out pretty quickly when West Coast just went balls to the wall, making it a mission to disrupt the 2025 AFL Draft and make teams legitimately pay, make teams give up their left freaking ballsack to be able to go out and actually match a player. And this is exactly what West Coast did, and I very much applaud them. I very much give them credit for not being too nice in the 2025 AFL Draft. Like, it started off straight away with their second pick that they had, and we all knew that they were going to take Zeke Yuland. I mean, Zeke Yuland had one of the better under 17s year that we've kind of seen, and he was always going to be arguably the best player going into this draft. He just had a tough 18 season with a lot of injuries, and I think kind of not having the continuity that he would have preferred. Like, I remember when I watched him play against Richmond in the VFL, and he just didn't look like he was ready. He didn't look like he should have been out there. I think there will need to be a lot of development because he just hasn't had that continuity. And I remember watching him go up against Sam Grill, and Sam Grill just absolutely dominated him in the Richmond versus Gold Coast game. So I knew that he needed some development, but there was no doubt that he could be the best player in this draft. And his 17th year was too insane to look past that. And that's what West Coast did here. They selected, Ezekiel, and it got matched, though, by the Gold Coast Suns. So it was nothing new. We all knew that was happening. But what we didn't know was happening until like a week before the draft, until Cal Toomey reported it, is that Gold Coast were going to put a very early bid on Harry Dean, which none of us really expected. I mean, when Harry Dean's name also got read out, you could see his rank there was number 8. There were also other draft pages that had him, I think, ranked 9 to 12 before Cal Toomey revealed he was probably going to get bid on. And then I think they all collectively panicked and had Harry Dean as a higher rank than what he probably should have been, just because West Coast were going to pick him. But West Coast did this for a lot of reasons. 1, they knew Carlton were going to match him. 2, West Coast obviously could have really used a key defender, which Harry Dean also is. But they did this and it really disrupted Carlton. I mean, Carlton traded out picks 9 and 11. They traded them for a bunch of picks to match this, a couple of futures, and it's probably not what Carlton wanted to do. They probably wanted to match this guy at like 8, lose one of those picks, and then take another guy. But West Coast really changed the momentum of the draft here when they said, fuck you to Carlton pretty much, and they took this guy with the 3rd overall pick, and it was matched by Carlton a lot higher than what they probably envisioned that they were genuinely going to actually go and match him. So that was the first one that really disrupted the draft. It really made a team have to reevaluate what they were doing, and Carlton knew this was going to happen, but they probably only knew it was going to happen a week before the draft, and this is not where their plans were. I can tell you that right now. I don't think they planned on wanting to trade both of these picks, but they had to. It's what they did. And I think they would have preferred to have Harry Dean, another guy, come through there, but they just weren't able to do it. And then it continues on with West Coast. They they were not nice here. They were not nice at all. They put on a bid with Jai Murray from Gold Coast, who they put this bid on at 17, I believe it was. And yeah, he ended up getting selected with pick 17. And Jai Murray, this ended up being a bolter. But it wasn't really a bolter, because at the end of the day, Jai Murray was one of the best kicks in the draft. He was one of the players who had one of the better 17s as well. He just had a lot of injuries in his 18th year, and it ended up meaning that his rank slipped to the 30s. But this didn't deter West Coast. In fact, I actually believe West Coast were probably trying to get a Gold Coast player at this pick. I don't know if they thought the Gold Coast were truly going to match both of them here, which they ended up doing. And they took Jai Murray, knowing damn well there wasn't a chance the Gold Coast were going to completely match it. They took him. Gold Coast ended up matching it, but it just meant they continuously took even more draft points off Gold Coast. You know, Gold Coast went into 2025 with 3 first-round picks. I think they ended up even adding another one. They had their first-round pick next year, and now they don't have any of these picks due to the academy matching and due to the Christian Petrarca trade. So there is probably no more of this Gold Coast matching for a little bit. Like, let's just say Gold Coast have a top 5 guy next year. Even if they trade future first to be able to do this, I don't know fully how they're going to be able to match a guy like that. And there is every chance a Gold Coast guy jumps up the draft. It has happened before. But West Coast have now made it so this probably won't be an option for them. Taking a guy like Jai Murray, who Gold Coast probably thought was going to be drafted at like pick 25 to 30, taking him at 17, and Gold Coast being forced to match that, because Jai Murray is genuinely a really good player. And it is the AFL's worst kept secret that he will develop now that he's off these injuries, hopefully, and he keeps going. So they continue to do this. Bo Adamsol was the guy who was actually technically ranked a little bit higher. I believe his rank was about pick 25. The Gold Coast Suns, this was the one where I was like, oh, are they going to match it? I'm not too sure. West Coast didn't care. They put a bid on him because they also really liked him. He had a pretty flashy year as well. He was the one that looked very ready. Gold Coast were forced to match it because he's a really good player, obviously, and they didn't want him going to West Coast.
Good morning, sunshine.
And now West Coast have just taken even more picks. They've taken even more, draft picks and points out of Gold Coast's hands. Made it even tougher now for Gold Coast to continue to match guys over the next couple of years. And they ended up disrupting what the Gold Coast Suns probably were trying to do, and they didn't want this to happen at all. So it's funny that Gold Coast ended up, they ended up taking these guys. West Coast, you could tell they really wanted a prolific kick in this year's draft. I think they really, really wanted Jacob Farrell until he was taken by Essendon. They traded down. They really, really wanted Jai Murray. Jai Murray ended up getting matched by the Gold Coast Suns. And then they were able to find their man in Josh Lindseay from the Geelong Falcons, who is probably considered a bargain buy at this point. Because at one stage, Josh Lindseay was probably projected to go top 6. But he's fallen down the draft. He had a pretty average back end of the year. But there's no doubt that Josh Lindseay is a guy who's going to be an elite kick, for one. And he's a great leader. He's a guy who's been leading for a long time. West Coast are looking to bring in some leadership and add that to the team. With more confidence, and as the years go by, Josh Lindseay could become one of their better leaders going forward. And he adds to this back line that they are really trying to improve. And they have done that with Tyler Young, Brandon Sarcevic. Now you're adding Josh Lindseay. All 3 of these dudes will probably play round 1. And then as well as Willem Dersma, who will probably play some halfback in his first couple games as well. That's like 4 new backmen straight away come in. It's going to look really different for West Coast going forward, but it's going to be a very good difference. So this is awesome. West Coast disrupted the draft, which was very cool to see. They did really nicely, and I'm very happy with how they, of course, went about this. And it's good that some team did it. Some team had to do it because the academy's looking really annoying. It really disrupted this year's draft, and West Coast made sure it disrupted this year's draft. I'm very happy for the Eagles and how they've gone about this. Of course, I'd very much love to hear all your thoughts and opinions down below. Please make sure to leave a like on this video to let me know you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel for all latest AFL content and AFL news. Go and subscribe to my gaming/movie channel, which will also be linked down below. My Instagram as well, if you haven't gone, check that out. Also linked down below. But yeah, as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.